So yeah, before, during and after the videos I posted earlier, a whole heap of druggings and shenanigans going on in the lead up to this video, and while I'm doing this video, and after I do this video. You know, a bit like just about anything they do, where like with the bogus tribunal that's going to take place, the rigged tribunal, we all know that that's going to take place to, again, establish, justify, perpetuate and extend, those are the intentions, their power and prestige and influence. You know, these people are enamoured with those sorts of things. You know, that is going to take place. You know, and it will always take place as far as I can tell. You know, what took place this afternoon, for example, completely engineered by them. Yeah, I was walking down a corridor, I looked at something, one of their magic numbers, and I looked at it. Anyway, it was engineered that I would look at it. It was engineered that I'd have a response. It was engineered that I'd have to work through that type of stuff. Even though I don't really need to. But anyway, that's the way the Middle Ages works, isn't it? If you know anything about the Middle Ages. And I've got quite a lot of experience in the Middle Ages from 96 to 2025. Yeah, so, you know, a scenario was engineered after me accurately, validly pointing out that this really belongs to the Middle Ages. You know, the scenario around the millennium, for example, where you know, strange things apparently do take place at such times. The location where this took place, Worcestershire, White Forest, you know, Stairport-on-Severn, Kidderminster, you know, possibly Bewdley, in the UK, where these things originated from. These, you know, this Middle Ages approach to the four elements, the list, the variations in the perception of me, that's put out there, that belongs to someone with no background, one of the original architects. You know, that became one of their celebrated icons between 96 and 2000. Anyway, so yeah, on a social, interpersonal, psychological, mental, emotional, and so on and so forth, all that engineered subconsciously and consciously by the various methods I've got. For example, you know, I did point out, you know, I've sort of pointed out how they can sort of brainwash me in various ways, both chemically and psychologically, physically, and so on and so forth. That's what they do. That's what they, you know, I'd say that's what they're good at. But you know, that's that'd be a bit rich to characterise it like that. But yeah, so they seek to re-establish their prestige, power, and influence, with no small dose of a need for propaganda. And that's the way it's always going to be, isn't it? That's the way it's really always been. And that's the way it will continue to be, quite possibly for the rest of my days, because the original architects and their mates said so, right? They gave the shrinks and all their mates the power that they've got, the power, prestige and influence that they've got. With, it seems, pretty much everyone, no one seems to be scrutinising them, but gave the prestige, power and influence that sort of seems to have taken everyone in except me. That's the way it is. I mean, yesterday I pointed out in this room that the subject, that was my mom, Colin Antonovich, was in the interests of the architects, was characterised and then brainwashed and then positioned socially, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, in ways that suited the shrinks and their mates, tracing it all back to the original architects, the high priests and priestesses, which it's accurate to call them when you see this as all Middle Ages type stuff. Like I've said, look at the media, look at pretty much anything, look at anything that's going on here through the lens of those 4 elements, the list that I posted in the last video, and the varying interpretations of who I am. Right. So yeah, we get walking down a corridor, we get a scenario built around it, magic numbers, and so on and so forth. I really didn't pay that much attention to, but you know, it was engineered for me to see what I'd do, sort of thing, as it tends to be. You know, but the upshot is that they can then run around TV studios like they tend to do, if that's how they do it, giving their version, their interpretation of how things are, you know, and then putting helicopters up in the sky. Well, there you go. Yeah, and so yeah, and you know, eventually, you know, sort of get back, like I posted in the videos, reruns are pretty boring and epilogue juggins and back on the doll. I sort of re-establish how things really are, not at least for myself. And what do you know, they'll try and rehash things with druggins, shenanigans, and so on and so forth. You know, we know the tribunal is rigged before, during, and after. We know, and you know, they'll have that, like I've pointed out, the sequence in the record MacArthur Park, the instrumental sequence. There's sort of a mental blueprint, a psychological blueprint for how so many scenario events sort of take place. And you get that type of thing going on in the tribunal, after the tribunal, the meetings I have with the psychiatrists, even though I shouldn't have meetings with the psychiatrists. I don't need them, I don't want them. They need them, they want them, partly for propaganda, partly for the prestige, power and influence they sort of, if they don't realise it yet, they want and need, and the rest of it. You know, I'm not particularly interested in that. You know, coffee with caffeine and stuff like that. That's what I want. But anyway, they're obsessed, they're paranoid, they're consumed, they'll always have that, and that's the way it'll always be. So they'll always be. No matter what I do, like I pretty much knew a long time ago, no matter what I do, they'll always come out with these epilogue druggins and shenanigans and so on and so forth. They will always seek to establish a pretty crazy power, influence and sense of prestige for themselves. You know, because they see themselves as carers and that sort of thing, as doing some great big worthy thing, which I dispute. Having had with the top critical ability, most people, if not all, who go into that system lack. But anyway, it's like, do I give a shit? Only in the sense that it applies to me, and my inability at the moment to have things like coffee with caffeine in it in Britain in 2025, and even saying stuff like that, you get silence. This is Britain in 2025 under the auspices of the high priests and priestesses and their mates, up to and including the shrines. So yeah, anyway, to bring this video to a close, you know, in the meetings, in the tribunal, we'll have that MacArthur Park type thing going on, no matter what they try to do. You know, there will be times when they'll have kittens that'll have nothing to do with me. Or if I'm pissed off with them, we'll have something to do with me. Is that actually accurate? That's possibly not accurate. But anyway, in the meetings afterwards, we'll get stuff like that. And all it does, all these tribunals and all the meetings and all the the cameras and the shenanigans and the stuff at a conscious and subconscious level and so on and so forth. Ultimately, it serves to establish in the way that it was given to them, to re-establish in the way it was given to them by the architects, to re-establish, justify, extend, legitimise, perpetuate and extend the psychiatric power, prestige and influence, including other disciplines and institutions and organisations as well. To me that smacks of propaganda, cheap propaganda, but there you go. But anyway, this is what they seem to need. I don't need it, they need it. So I'm in a nut house, given chemicals. Anyway, right, and that'll continue. So that sort of keeps their ball rolling, if you want to put it that way. And the slightest thing, because the slightest thing can trigger them, they're always going to keep that power. The slightest thing can trigger these people. I've made reference to things that go on that do trigger them, that are meaningless. When they're at that stage, what they really should do is look at themselves and their mates, and sort of not detain me in places like this, and with all the shenanigans and all the rest of it, but actually come to terms with the fact that they've screwed up, that they're screwed, they're always going to be screwed, and because of that, they're going to try and make me screwed, or try to do some propaganda around care, which both are crap, But because of all the attention that's been conferred on me, that owes a lot to the architects, not including the veering characterisation of me, that's the way things are always, chances are that's the way things are always going to be, and that's that.